Okay, now everyone, behave. If you must stand up and dance, put on your video, cloud that blocks the video camera. If you need to chat, unmute yourself and then please mute yourself again. And then I am going to share my screen. I think that's it. And share. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure I'd shared the right one here. What does that one say? No sound? Deborah, can you hear us? Ellen, you can hear us, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Lynn and Jan can hear you.
Oh, thanks. Hi, Lynn and Jan.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. Miss you guys.
Miss you too. Miss you.
Okay, now, then I'm going to start the slideshow here. And start. Okay, so we are at our Tuesday, November 16th meeting. Just want to take a minute and thank our fabulous affiliates, Legendary Escrow. We've got Yvonne Ramirez, Stacy in Indian Wells, Marion in Palm Springs. We have our home warranties. We have our all kinds of title rep and fund insurance and all kinds of things coming. So thank you. And I appreciate everyone who reaches out and utilizes our services. Hi, Greer. Hi. Okay, Melda, do you have an update for us? Oh, wait. There you go.
Is it working?
Yeah. You're good.
Just a quick update. If you're doing a sale, if you have a check and you need to send it over to Palm Springs, be sure to have the sales report attached to it. We have had some checks. For leases, yes, for leases. We've had some checks that have gone over and we don't have a sales report attached to it. So if you have any leases, be sure to attach the sales report. And as well, we also have a logbook up at the top of the front desk. And if you have any check that needs to be logged, it goes right up there. You fill out the information and that's pretty much it.
And then if you would just give it on to Barbara.
I just wanted to remind everyone to update their profile in the VAC. A lot of them are incomplete and missing agent photos. And then you can also add your preferred communities and cities so that they'll be showing on your personalized website and the lead zip codes that you're interested in so that you can receive leads in those zip codes.
Ooh, and that gives me a good reminder because, and thank you, that's so important. Your presence, I want you to understand, and Berkshire Hathaway, we have hundreds of millions of people searching our website every single day. And you need to have a presence because these people are looking for agents. So one thing I think you should do, and they sent right when the national, when we were acquired by our national, Berkshire National, everyone should have received an email to update your national profile. There's a couple, it's pretty generic, but you really, if you go in and you start searching for different agents, you'll see what I'm talking about because some of them don't have a picture and some of them just have the name and phone number. And then others have a picture at the bio and it looks really great. So you want to be able to capture as many leads. I know sometimes I hear agents say, well, I've never gotten a lead from Berkshire Hathaway. And I scratch my head a little bit because then we go in and look, just make sure your profile's updated. See what you look like online. And you want to look as good as you can because, these are people from all over the world that are searching. So if you need help with that, let us know. Marketing will help too because they're the one who sent out the email initially saying update your national site. But you really want to make sure your presence, if you go to bhhs.com, that's the main national Berkshire Hathaway Home Services website, and search for agents. You'll go to, the state, you'll go to the area, search for agents, and then check it out and see what you see and make sure that your profile is up to date and looks, like you're in the business and not somebody, you know, you see no photo available and you see a couple things and you think, oh my goodness, that's not good. So I'm glad you brought that up. That was really important. Thank you. Okay, congratulations on our listings for the month. Our goal this month is 40 listings. We are currently at 12, so we have a little bit of work to do. But congratulations to Terry and Deborah on their Pebble Beach, Palm Springs listing. Lance, you got a couple listings this month, so congratulations, Donna Ambrose, Gary Morlock, Abraham, Deborah and Terry again, Ann Stark, Mark's Real Estate Group, George Lopez team, Angie Torres, and George Lopez team again. So bravo and kudos. If any of those are available for open house that you cannot sit, please let me know, because I have agents that are ready and willing to sit open houses. And so the more visibility we can have outside, you know, with signage, et cetera, the better for you and our company as a whole. Okay, on the sales side, congratulations. We've got some good sales going in. Anne and Michael Charles and Debbie Bellman, Gary Morlock, Wasserman team, Mark's Real Estate Group, Heidi, Chris Berger, Mark's again, Araceli Vasquez, Lupi and Doris twice, Sherry Vaughn, Michael Burnell, Donna Ambrose, Heidi, Christine Hernandez, George Lopez team, Lupi and Doris again, George, Angie, Wasserman, and Stephanie Taylor. So, hi, Angie. Good to see you. So congratulations to you all. Let's really kick it in and make the November and December really, really strong months. And we'll finish strong. Okay, I wanted to go just a few pages because our beautiful purchase agreement is going live next month. I want you to be well familiar with it. So there are handouts. If you don't have a handout, they're right here on the table. There's also the caravan sheet for later right there next to it. But we are going to start. We did pages 1, 2, and 3 last week. This week, we're going to do 4, 5, and 6. And you'll see on there, blue and red, those are additions and changes to the contract. So, you know, anytime there's blue and red, that's something new or revised. So paragraph 4 is just property addenda and advisories. This is the part where whatever you check becomes part of the purchase agreement. So what does that mean? It means when you're submitting the RPA and you've checked, for example, the probate agreement purchase addendum, if it's a probate sale, you have to attach that to the back of this, okay? So anything you're attaching is an addendum. You make sure that it becomes attached to this. So that's paragraph 4, A. 4B is other addenda. Now, that is the any addendum that you're incorporating into the purchase agreement. If it's a backup offer, we've been writing those, septic, short sale, court confirmation, and then of course the 1031 exchanges, the buyer intent to exchange and the seller intent to exchange. Have a seat. Here, make yourself comfortable. And here's a handout. There you go. You're very welcome. Okay, buyer and seller advisories, of course, automatically checked. You don't even have to think about it, is the BIA, the wire fraud, fair housing they've added. That is, of course, now printing out with every purchase agreement. And the CCPA, which is also, that's the California Consumer Privacy Act advisory. They've added the wildfire disaster advisory, that's in red there. And of course, we only need to use those if it's been designated in a high or very high fire zone. Paragraph 5, additional terms affecting the purchase price. Buyer represents that funds will be good when deposited. We certainly hope so. The initial deposit, now it will, again, buyer shall deliver deposit directly to escrow. If acceptable to escrow holder, delivery shall be by. And then now you're just going to check the box, either wire transfer, personal check, or cashier's check. Before, you remember, it defaulted to electronic funds transfer, right? And that's gone back and forth. This, you know, you might notice a change in December for this because they keep going back and forth. They were going to say by wire transfer, but there's lots of different ways you can transfer money now. So they were going to use electronic funds transfer. Here's what I want you to know what that means. So your deposit, if somebody is giving a personal check, the reason escrows do not want to see personal checks, number one, it takes 10 days for that check to clear, right? So especially if you have a short escrow, that's just not good. That's not going to work. But more importantly, what if they put their personal check into escrow? We're representing the seller, for example. They put their personal check into escrow, and a week later, they decide, yeah, I'm going to stop payment on that, right? And then they cancel, but for whatever reason, the seller's saying, no, I'm entitled to that deposit. Maybe they remove contingencies, right? Now we can't go out. I mean, it's going to be a nightmare, right? Because they've stopped payment on that check, where in reality, once that money hits escrow and it's clear in escrow, then, and if the buyer should cancel, and if the seller believes they have a claim to the deposit, now it can be either mediated, arbitrated, or, you know, somehow negotiated, and the money is there for the seller. So that is really important. So if the buyer just says, well, I want to just give you a check, and cashier's checks are the same, you know, you can put a stop payment on those as well. So I just want you to think about, you know, where in the transaction, what it means to have the funds electronically transferred versus a check. Increased deposit, they did add language here. If the parties agree to liquidated damages in this agreement, they also agree to incorporate the increased deposit into the liquidated damages amount by signing a new liquidated damage clause, CAR form DID, at the time the increased deposit is delivered to escrow holder. In the past, for those of you who have been here a while, you know, it used to be an RID. Now it's going to be called a DID, okay? All right, retention of deposit is the same, paragraph 29, if initialed by all parties or otherwise incorporated into this agreement, specifies a remedy for buyer's default. Buyer and seller are advised to consult with a qualified California real estate attorney before adding any other clause specifying a remedy, such as a release or forfeiture of deposit, or making a deposit non-refundable for failure to buyer to complete the purchase. Any such clause shall be deemed invalid unless the clause independently satisfies the statutory damage, liquidated damage requirement set forth. What does that mean, for crying out loud? So a lot of times agents try to get creative and think about ways they can make things happen. And in their creativity, they write addendums to the contract that in reality, according to California law, are not allowed, but they think it's very clever. And hey, what if we just make this deposit non-refundable? We'll release it straight off, and we'll do this and we'll do this. And the buyer says, okay, we'll do that. But statutorily, it's not allowed. So now the whole thing blows up, and the buyer says, yeah, give it back to me. And the seller's going to say, no, you released it. And the buyer's going to say, yeah, but legally, you can't do that to me. Now you have a big pickle on your hands, right? So what it's saying here is, before you decide to get creative, in a nutshell, please tell your clients, if that's your client saying, here, do this, do this, do this, have your clients talk to a real estate attorney. Before you get creative, come and see me, and I'll tell you if that's something that we can work out. Now, many times, once contingencies are removed and the buyer agrees to move forward, and maybe they need an extension, once all contingencies are removed, you can make an early release of some of the deposit, right? You can, there's certain things you can do, but you have to wait until the buyer's confirmed to move forward. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions on that? I know that gets a lot of, I see those issues on that a lot. So if you have questions, just let me know. 5B, all cash offer. If it's an all cash offer, remember the first 3 pages on the first section there, it tells you the purchase price to be and is it all cash. So if that box is checked, then this box, or this 4B, will apply. No loan is needed to purchase the property. It's not contingent on buyer obtaining the loan. Can buyer get a loan? Well, if the buyer wants to get a loan, but it's just not contingent now. right? Because the contract said it's going to be all cash and the seller is relying on the buyer closing. Okay. 5C, loans. I'm going to, first loan shall be conventional unless FHA, VA, seller financing or other is checked. 3E1, that's in the table of stuff. Of course, seller financing, there is an SFA, stands for Seller Financing Addendum. If you are preparing one of those, I'm happy to help you fill that out. That happens periodically. Let's go to paragraph C3, buyer's loan status. Buyer authorizes, now this is new and it's a really good update, I think. Buyer authorizes seller to contact buyer's lender to determine the status of any buyer's loan specified in paragraph 3E, whether or not a contingency of this agreement. If the contact information for buyer's lender is different from that provided under the terms of paragraph 6B, buyer shall deliver the updated contact information within 1 day of seller's request. So we get the offer, we get the loan approval letter from the lender, we call the lender. The contract now allows us to do that without getting any kickback from that lender or the other agent, right? The other agent sometimes will say, well, why did you call my buyer's lender? Well, because that's your job, right? You want to make sure that that buyer is qualified and can close. So if, let's say, you call that lender with the loan approval letter that they got 3 months ago, and then you find out, no, the loan's really not going through that lender, the buyer has 1 day to get you the updated information so you can do it. So that should give you time to still do your research on behalf of the seller before you counter or accept any offer. Okay. Of course, FHA, VA. If it's an FHA or VA, you still need to do the FVAC, which is the amendatory clause. We've always had to do that. And yes, FHA lenders will send it at the end. The reason it's in the contract and they want you to do it up front, if you're representing the buyer, it's an FHA or VA loan, do the amendatory clause up front, because we are putting the seller on notice that if it doesn't appraise, the buyer will get back their deposit, right? And so we should not wait until the FHA lender does that at the close of, right at the end of the transaction. They should be advised up front that this potentially could happen. Okay, balance of purchase price, including all cash, needs to be deposited pursuant to the escrow holder instructions. Limits on credit to buyer, of course, that hasn't changed. If a buyer is asking seller for credits, seller to pay closing costs, or seller to pay $2,000 in lieu of repair, that's considered a buyer credit. So before any credits can be done, it just has to be cleared with the lender, because sometimes the lenders have limits on how much the buyer can get, okay? Additional financing terms, verification of down payment and closing costs. They do need to give you that information. I always request that it be done at the time of the offer, loan approval letters, proof of funds, all that stuff. They need to prove it up. Do you have the money or don't you? Can you close this escrow? Okay, next page, page 5, buyer stated financing. And we go through this a lot. Seller is relying on buyer's representation of the type of financing specified, including but not limited to all cash, amount of down payment, contingent or non-contingent loan. Thank you, Michael. There we go. Hi, Debbie. Seller has agreed to a specific closing date, purchase price, and to sell to buyer in reliance on buyer's covenant concerning financing. Buyer shall pursue the financing specified in this agreement. Seller has no obligation to cooperate with buyer's efforts to obtain any financing other than that specified in this agreement. Buyer's inability to obtain alternate financing does not excuse buyer from the obligation to purchase the property and close escrow. So what does that mean? It means buyer says, I'm getting a loan. Here's my lender. Here's what it is. And then they find out, oh, I could get this loan over here, for example, or maybe they offered cash and then they decided, no, for tax purposes, I now want to get a loan, right? If they can't get that loan, and the contract that they wrote initially said, I'm paying cash, buyer's inability to obtain alternate financing is not a contingency on this agreement, okay? So you just need to explain if a buyer's trying to do that, that's what that means. Closing in possession, of course, unless otherwise agreed, the property is delivered as is in its present physical condition. As the date of the acceptance, the property, including pool, spa, landscaping, grounds, is going to be maintained in substantially the same condition as on the date of acceptance, and all debris and personal property not included in the sale shall be removed by close of escrow or at the time of possession is delivered to buyer, if not on the same date. If items are not removed when possession is delivered to buyer, all items shall be deemed abandoned. Buyer, after first delivering to seller written notice to remove the items in 3 days, may pay to have such items removed or disposed of, and may bring legal action as per this agreement to receive reasonable cost from seller. So I do hear that question a lot. What happens if seller doesn't get their property out in time? Well, according to paragraph 7B of the contract, it's considered abandoned, right? And the new owners they can just get rid of it, or they can, do as they want to, but if there's a cost incurred, now they can go after the seller for those costs. Okay. Interesting, huh? Okay. Buyers, of course, strongly advised to conduct all their investigations of the entire property to determine its current present condition. Seller and agents may not be aware of all defects affecting the property or other factors that buyer considers important. Property improvements may not be built to code in compliance with current law or have had all required permits issued and are finalized. So buyer really needs to do their diligence in making sure they're satisfied with the condition of the house. If seller's remaining in possession after close of escrow, the parties are advised to consult with their insurance and legal advisors for information about liability and damage or injury to persons and personal and real property. Buyer is advised to consult with buyer's lender about the impact of seller's occupancy on buyer's loan. Consult with a qualified California real estate attorney where the property is located to determine the ongoing rights and responsibility of both buyer and seller with regard to each other, including possible tenant rights and what type of written agreement to use to document the relationship between all parties. Close of escrow, seller assigns to buyer any assignable warranty rights for items included in the sale, and seller shall deliver to buyer available copies of any such warranties. Agents cannot and will not determine the assignability of any warranties. So, people generally, when they're buying appliances, they're buying stuff, there's usually a drawer somewhere in the house that they throw all the warranties in. Make sure they don't pack that drawer. Leave that stuff for the next person because, the next person's going to want to see that stuff. Okay. And then seller shall on close of escrow, unless otherwise agreed, and even if seller remains in possession, provide keys, passwords, codes, and or means to operate all locks, mailboxes, security systems, alarms, home automation systems, intranet and internet connected devices included in the purchase price, garage door openers, and all items included in either paragraph 3P or paragraph 9. If the property is in a condo or located in a common interest development, seller shall be responsible for securing or providing any such items for association amenities, facilities, and access. Buyer may be required to pay a deposit to the HOA to obtain keys. I hear this all the time. We're closing escrow. How does my buyer get access to the gate? All the time, right? So what happens? Escrow closes. We need to let escrow know we need a copy of the grant deed delivered to the buyer right away. As soon as it's recorded and they have a copy of that grant deed, now they can take that grant deed to the HOA and then they'll get their transponders and their gate entrance and all that good stuff. Okay, contingencies and removal of contingencies. This agreement is, unless otherwise specified in paragraph 3L1, contingent upon buyer obtaining the loan specified above. If contingent, buyers shall act diligently and in good faith to obtain the designated loans. If there is no appraisal contingency or the appraisal contingency has been waived or removed, then the failure of the property to appraise at the purchase price does not entitle buyer to exercise the cancellation right pursuant to the loan contingency if buyer is otherwise qualified for the specified loan and buyer is able to satisfy lender's non-appraisal conditions for closing the loan. Okay, no other changes on the loan contingencies. But remember, buyer contractual obligations regarding deposit, balance of down payment, and closing costs are not contingencies of this agreement. That's why it's super important you make sure you look at proof of funds before you accept any offer. Okay, going down to appraisal, the agreement is, unless otherwise specified in 3L2, contingent upon a written appraisal of the property by a licensed or certified appraiser at no less than the amount specified in paragraph 3L2, without requiring repairs or improvements to the property. Appraisals are often a reliable source to verify square footage of the property. The ability to cancel based on the measurement provided in an appraisal falls within the investigation of property contingency. The appraisal contingency is solely limited to the value determined by the appraisal. For any cancellation based on the appraisal contingency, buyer shall deliver a copy of the written appraisal to the seller upon request by the seller. So I hear that all the time. My buyer paid for it. Why does the seller get a copy of it? Well, if it doesn't appraise, they need a copy of it, right? You have to prove, especially if you're looking for a price reduction now, that you have to show a copy of the appraisal contingency. Investigation of the property, of course, it is contingent upon buyer's acceptance of the condition of the property. Review of seller documents, the agreement is contingent upon buyer's review of seller's documents. Title, of course, it is contingent upon buyer's ability to obtain a title policy. This is something, we get at the beginning, escrow's opened and we get the preliminary title report, right? The buyer has 5 days after receipt to review a revised preliminary report of any furnished by the title company and cancel the transaction if the revised preliminary report reveals material or substantial deviations from a previously provided prelim. So, if there's something, when you get those preliminary title reports, please read them because it's important to know what's on there. There may be liens, there may be issues. That's why the statement of information you hear title talk about all the time is super important. You can download them right off of title's websites. It's called Statement of Information. It's a one-page document that a buyer and seller will complete, and it gives 10 years of residences, jobs, etc., that they need to fill out. That is how title tracks to make sure that you're the right person getting it, title or transferring title, one of the two. John Smith, there's probably a few of those, right? So they want to make sure that the property is going. I literally had, and it's happened a couple of times where the prelim came in, and on one occasion, I called the seller because it said there was an outstanding $250,000 child support lien on the preliminary title report. And so I thought, so I called him. I said, this came up on the title report. And he went, I don't have any kids. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's why you have a child support lien. That you know of, exactly. Turned out it wasn't him. It wasn't him. And I was just busting his chops because it was fun. But I'm sick that way. Anyway, yeah. So that when he turned in his statement of information, it was clarified and everything was good after that. But that's why that statement of information, make sure you have your clients get that in as soon as possible, and that removes a lot of issues. Okay, the final and third page here. Not too many removal of contingencies with offer. We're seeing that a lot today. Buyers shall have no obligation to remove contractual contingency unless seller has provided all required documents, reports, disclosures, and information pertaining to that contingency. If buyer does remove a contingency without first receiving all required information from the seller, buyer is relinquishing any contractual rights that apply to that contingency. If buyer removes or waives any contingencies without an adequate understanding of the property's condition or buyer's ability to purchase, buyer is acting against the advice of the agent. Thank you for keeping me on my toes. Okay, so we're seeing more and more buyers removing contingencies at the time of offer because there's multiple offers, right? So as a listing agent, I think the best thing to do is, and there's, oh my gosh, they're selling, if they're priced right, they're selling quickly, right? So as a seller, make sure the seller gets all the disclosures filled out right away. You know, you can upload those right to your MLS. Upload everything right into the MLS. You can upload the NHD report right to the MLS. So everything is out there. Your seller disclosures are basically done. So now the buyer can write their offer, and more likely they're safer to remove. Obviously, they've got to do their home inspection, right? And that can usually be done in a couple days. But instead of delaying any closing, it's best if you can, the more you can disclose up front, the better. And it just helps you, and it helps, especially if you think you're going to be in a multiple offer situation. You don't want to get into contract with a buyer who says, oh, I didn't know you had an insurance claim 3 years ago. That's a deal breaker for me, right? If that's there, just get it up on the MLS. So it's going to eliminate the buyers who are not serious. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Okay, removal of contingency or cancellation. You'll see this whole paragraph is red. For any contingency specified in paragraph 3L or 8, buyer shall, within the applicable period specified, remove the contingency or cancel this agreement. For the contingency for review of seller documents and the contingency for condo plan development disclosures, buyers shall, within this time specified in paragraph 3L or 5 days after receipt, whichever occurs later, remove the applicable contingency in writing or cancel the agreement. If buyer does not remove the contingency within the timeframes, seller, after first giving buyer a notice to buyer to perform, shall have the right to cancel. And unless seller has it has the transaction contingent on them finding replacement property, that's really the only seller, the way a seller can cancel an agreement is if buyer breaches, they do a notice to perform, and then they can legally cancel. Okay. Okay. Sale of buyer's property, agreement and buyer's ability to obtain financing. They're not contingent upon any sale unless the COP is done. Okay. They have to provide a COP if it is contingent. Items included and excluded. And we are going to go down here because, of course, we know all existing fixtures and fittings that are attached are all included. Existing mechanical, electrical, lighting, plumbing, heating, et cetera, if currently existing at the time of acceptance. So if they're in the house at the time of acceptance, that's what's included. Security systems, et cetera. Home automation includes any electronic devices and features, including but not limited to thermostat controls, kitchen appliances not otherwise excluded, and lighting systems that are connected to a control unit, computer, tablet, phone, or other smart device. Any smart home devices and features that are physically affixed to the real property, and also existing light bulbs are included in the sale. How nice of a seller to remove all the light bulbs before the buyer moves in. Has anybody ever had that happen? Not yet. Not yet? Well, hopefully after next month they won't. Probably. That, you know.
Gina,
we've come a long way, baby. I know.
Gina, that refers to those light bulbs that you can turn on with your phone and that.
I'm sorry, say that one more time, Ellen.
Those refer to those light bulbs that can be turned on by your phone electronically and whatnot, not just the standard light. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's what I mean. Technology, holy cow, it's just insane where we are today. And yesterday I took the CAR course with going through this, and they were saying that they may be changing this area a little bit because of Alexa and some of the other portable devices that can be removed. So this is what it is right now, but
yeah,
between now and then it may change, possibly, possibly not.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you, Ellen. I appreciate that. It's fluid, and there's a lot of people arguing about this every day of what should be in and what shouldn't be in and what, you know, they need to do. So we're reviewing it because we're a month out, but there may be a few changes before the actual one finalizes. Okay. Seller is advised to use a counter offer to address more directly any items to be excluded. So if they have some concerns, it should be addressed in a counter offer. Okay, let's go to paragraph 7 down there. Seller represents that all items included in the purchase price are owned by the seller and shall be transferred free and clear of liens and encumbrances, except the items and systems identified pursuant to paragraph 9B and are transferred without seller warranty, regardless of value. Seller shall cooperate with the identification of any software or applications and the transfer of any services needed to operate any smart home features or other items included in this agreement, including but not limited to utilities and or security systems. That has been an issue a few times because you know, there's passwords involved to some of these systems, and buyers want to go in and test the systems. But this paragraph 7, seller needs to cooperate and allow the buyer to do their due diligence to make sure everything is properly working. Okay, items excluded from sale. And this is the last paragraph today. Yay, right? Of course, unless otherwise agreed, the following items are excluded from the sale. All items specified in paragraph 3P2, audio and video components such as flat screen TV, speakers, and other items, if any such item is not itself attached to the property, even if a bracket or other mechanism attached to the component or item is attached to the property, furniture and other items secured to the property for earthquake or safety purposes. Unless otherwise agreed in paragraph 3P1, brackets attached to the walls, floors, ceilings for any such component, furniture, or item will be removed, and holes or other damage shall be repaired but not painted. So you remember in our current purchase agreement, you actually had to go in and check that box if you wanted that to happen. Now it's just written right into the agreement. There's a lot, huh? So those are the next 3 pages. In 2 weeks, we'll cover some more. Any questions on anything that we reviewed right now? Okay. Yes, sir.
Months ago, when Eric was in there, he offered the possibility of doing a tutorial or something on FHA and VA loans. Is that possible anytime soon?
Yes, probably. And I'm glad you brought that up. Berkshire Hathaway has an affiliation with Prosperity Mortgage. So as it rolls about, we will have somebody in and doing, you know, the lunch and learns and information on the various things, FHA, et cetera. So that's coming. Thank you. Okay, let me see what's next here. So I don't know if you guys saw your email, but I did want to bring it to your attention because it's kind of important. MLS rules and regs are being updated. 67 pages. They were emailed out to everyone. Please make sure you read them because they're really important, all right? Knowing what's in there will prevent you from being fined. And what I did is and thanks actually, Lance, Frank sent these to me. Thank you, Lance. Let me see if I can move this out of the way here so you can see this. Okay, so here's a few pages here of potential issues. And I'm only going to talk about a couple of them or a few of them here as we go down the sheet. But in the past, when the whole CRMLS and everything kind of merged and new rules came into play, you'll see in this column right here is whether or not you're going to get a warning, and look at how many no's. So you're not going to get a warning. You're just going to get fined. Okay. CDAR Fine Soft Launch. The soft launch is when they rolled out and they, you know, are following CRMLS rules. They wanted to get you used to doing the right thing and making sure you knew what you were doing. So that was the soft launch. January 1, There's no soft launch anymore. You're going to get hammered if you're not doing the right thing. So the new CDAR fine is on this line. So I'm going to go down to some of the big ones like this $1,500 one. And there's no warning, kids. See, no warning. So this is why I'm telling you about this. I really want you to be aware. That is use photographs on a listing without proper authorization. What's proper authorization? So you can't use another agent's photos, right? I mean, if it's a prior listing, that's a gimme. You don't do that. If you hire a professional photographer, please use a PIA. That stands for Property Images Agreement. And that professional photographer is giving you a license to use your photos in all marketing. Okay, that's super important. Actually, there was a photographer out here. We had an agent that paid the photographer, did the thing, and then had it staged. And the stager used the photos. And the staging company and everybody, because copyright violations. And the fines for that are in the 6 figures. They are super ridiculously expensive. So to protect yourself from any of this, because the first thing an attorney is going to say is, did you have a license to use them? The answer is, it's on zip forms. It's a PIA, and it stands for Property Images Agreement. And if you have questions on that, let me know and just throw it into your file, and that way it's good. But a couple others. I mean, $250 fine if you failure to timely report listing status changes in sales. Remember, you have 24 hours. 24 hours. When you get a listing, you have 24 hours to put it into the MLS. If you are not ready to put it into the MLS within 24 hours, what do? SELM or coming soon, right? CDAR has a really nice coming soon form that your client can sign if they want to do coming soon. I know I've given you in the past the little cheat sheet that separates the difference, but in a nutshell, with an SELM, there's no marketing. Only you or your broker clients can see the property. You cannot put a sign, you cannot advertise, you cannot market it. But if, let's say I get this listing and I'm talking to you because you're in my brokerage, I can do that. And I say, hey, Callie, I have this great listing. It's got this. And Kelly says, I have a client who wants to see it. Wonderful. I can show Kelly and her client the property. I cannot show another broker the property though, right? As soon as another broker sees it, I have 24 hours to get it onto the MLS. That's just the rules, the way they stand. Otherwise, 21 day to coming soon. You've got 21 days. You can market the heck out of it. You can advertise it. You can put coming soon. You can put your sign. You may not show it. You may not show it. If the neighbor comes next, to the seller, and the seller says, oh, come look at my house, it's for sale. You now have 24 hours to put it into the MLS because the property was just shown. So, and they're pretty strict about that. So make sure you're understanding the differences. Let's see. I'm going to go down. I'm going to email this sheet out to everybody so you have it. I just wanted to touch base on a couple. Entry of a new listing is new after withdrawn without a new or amended listing contract. So many times agents try to get tricky on us and they will withdraw or cancel the listing. And then the next day, put it right back onto the MLS. So the days in the MLS are showing it 0 or 1 again, right? If they get reported and they don't have a new listing agreement or an addendum to the agreement that says they can do this, that is $1,000 fine. So that's important. Make sure, and if you're going to try to get tricky, the seller is signing a new listing agreement. Failure to obtain seller's written authorization before an extension or renewal. How many times have you had a seller say, let's do a price adjustment of $5,000? Great. And you want to immediately jump in and change it on the MLS. If you don't have the modification of terms with the seller's signature, written authorization, it's a $500 fine. Okay. So make sure everything you get is in writing here. Failure to input a required listing without an SELM, no warning, $1,500 fine. And remember, when you have that SELM signed, you also have 24 hours to get that to the board. And you just email it. It's super easy. To the Palm Desert board, it's SELM@cdaronline.org. Okay, so you have 24 hours to either put the listing live or do the SELM and send that to the board within those 24 hours. Yes, we are. Actually, we're on 2 new pages. Yes, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to email it to you. Okay. Failure to be present when providing access to a listed property to buyers and potential buyers. So I don't know why anybody would do this, but apparently it's an issue because it's a $1,500 fine without a warning. But if you send a buyer to a property and you're not there, or I should say an agent isn't present, maybe the seller's home, yeah, just go, they're going to let you in. If there's not an agent present, it's a $1,500 fine. Okay. Let's see what else. There's a few good ones. Confidential failure to timely report a cancellation of a pending is only $250. Truthful representation of media and caption required. Yeah, I'm not sure. You get at least a warning on that. And truthful representation of media, sometimes, and I think the right way of doing it, a lot of agents use virtual staging, right? And it looks great because it helps the person identify what the house could look like. If you do the virtual staging, though, please make sure you're doing what it really looks like. So here's what it could look like. Here's what it really does look like right now. So it's always truth. You always got to put your best foot forward there. Unauthorized use of the term sold is a $250. So remember, when you go into escrow, it's not sold, it's in escrow. Here's a.
Okay, I have like a caveat to that. What if it's on the sign and it's in escrow? It's sold.
That's what I'm saying.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It should say in, yeah, it should say in escrow,
okay,
or sale pending. Okay. When it's sold, that means it's closed. Okay. A few others. And oh, guys, this is a big one too. Unauthorized sharing of a lockbox key, $1,500, no prior warning. So we have an agent, oh, I didn't sign up for super yet, or I didn't pay my bill and my super isn't working and I have to show clients, right? I don't know how this is even working today because it's always on a phone. In the past, there was that key and that was a big deal. But if somebody is letting somebody use their Supra on a phone or maybe on a tablet or something, I don't know, that's a $1,500 fine. So don't do that. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to email this out to you guys, and please do go through and read them. I'm not going to read every one, but I just want to make sure that you're in compliance and you're not in violation, because the last thing I want is for you to have to spend money on something that could have been avoided. Okay. Oh, we're good. Today, oh wait, did I skip a page? Previous. Yes. A lot of times I'm hearing people coming to me saying, what can I do to advertise? I'm going to email this out too. It's found also on the VAC, or I might have gotten this on the Resource Center. I can't remember. It was last night. But here's various opportunities. Desert Sun, the retreats, Desert Magazine, Desert Outlook, Palm Springs Life, all kinds of things. The Gym, El Paseo Catalog, LA Times, Hot Properties. There's some great opportunities here. So if you're interested, I'll email this out to everybody as well. Today we're going to Laguna de la Paz, and the handout is right over here. The first one, they're all three are Gary Morlocks, and he has a signed listing agreement with an SELM. It's not quite on the MLS. It'll go live, I think, on Saturday, he said. The second and third ones are already on the MLS. So you'll see I put number 1 and I put the address. So if we, on our caravan, if we somehow get separated, you'll know where to go. And then the second one will be the Vista Tierra property, and then the Calle Floresta property. If you've not been in Laguna de la Paz, it's a really cool little development. And so, yeah, definitely come, and then come back. Come back, because we're doing something a little special today for the agents. And we've got some food here, some pretty good food here. Just to say, hey, happy Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for you. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. You have no idea. And so that's just my way of saying thanks. Glad you're here. And then I'll probably be having the city planners, we'll see, on Zoom. That's today at noon. Tomorrow and Thursday, it's our annual manager, we call it a manager advance. Every year, the managers get together from all 3 states. Last year was Zoom. The year before was in Vegas. This year's in Palm Springs. But we get together and put our goals for the following year. And, you know, we talk about our daily revenue commitment a lot here in this company, and our WIG calls, our wildly important goals, WIG calls that we do every week in some areas. Accountability, and we have our DRC, our daily revenue commitment, to keep us focused on what's important. And so that's what we do for 2 days, is we talk about how best we can help you build your PPP, your production per person, and how we can bring some great agents into the company who we think, you know, would be an asset to the company. So if you, and really, if you think this is a great place to be, which I hope you do, let me know if you're working with an agent and you think that agent is a good agent, or you think that agent would be an asset to us or could be an asset to us, please have that agent reach out to me, give them my Calendly link. Let me know. I'd love to give you Profit Builder for that agent. So you get a little something special too, but let's grow our team and make this the most fun, awesome, profitable office. That's my goal. That's my goal. We got to make money and have fun. Okay. And then Friday, this coming Friday at 1:30, I'm starting something a little bit different, and it's for all either new agents or newly returning agents. Cause I know there's a lot of agents that, you know, because of COVID or whatnot, stepped aside, and they're starting to come back now. So I'm going to start a group coaching where we get together as a group. We're going to go over what you need to do to launch a business or relaunch your business, what, you know, opportunities there are for marketing, what to do, getting you ready for your listing appointments and your buyer appointments. And so I want everybody to feel like, yes, I'm going to get what I need, and just get out there and start working, because it's a fun business and we can make some money doing it together. So that's this Friday at 1:30. On Wednesday, December 1st, on the 1st. Let's talk like this. On Wednesday, December 1st, Legendary Escrow is doing an escrow class, Life of an Escrow. They're going to take you through the whole escrow process, what it means, how you can help your clients, etc. So join us for that. And then it's here in this office. And then Friday, December 10th, I hope you all received your email invitation to the holiday speakeasy. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so much fun, you guys. Anyway, please, I hope you can come. Realtors or agents are free, compliments of Berkshire Hathaway. If you would like to bring a guest, they are $55. The location is awesome. And so I'm pretty excited. Have you guys gotten your email? And you've reserved, right? Everybody nod. The answer is yes. You're going to definitely want to be there. It'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, the link's going to be right here in the handout I'm sending out as well. It's all offices. All offices. We're going to get together. It's a big party. It'll be fun. And dress 20s. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's going to be fun. Friday, December 10th. Yes, that'll be fun. Okay, and then today, do you know what your UVP is? So today, yeah, Mark Stark's going to be talking about what is your UVP at 1:30. I know what it means. Who can guess?
Unique, valuable personality. I don't think.
You're getting close. You're close. Yes, yes. So your unique value proposition. Why should somebody hire you? If they're looking at 3 agents, what is your UVP? It should be something really short, sweet, you can throw out there. I'm not going to blow up for Mark here, but really this is an important topic, and he Mark's brilliant. So if you are busy at 1:30, make sure you go back to Facebook page, Mark's Facebook page, and catch it later, but it's super cool. Okay. Yes, we're in the holiday season. Make sure you're looking at the days when you're opening your escrows to make sure that one doesn't close on like Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day. Here's my link to my calendar. So if you need to spend some time with me, this is for your convenience. I don't want you to feel like you have to call me or text me and say, when do you have time? And then I'm looking, and then I'm texting you back, and then we're texting back. Just go on my calendar and schedule it. Whatever says it's free, and it's open for you. And so I'm trying to make it as easy as possible to be available to you. Do we have any plugs or wants? Look at that. Oh my gosh, right on the hour. Any plugs or wants? Let me quit sharing my screen here so I can see the group. There we are. Hi, guys. So any plugs or wants from our Zoom team?
Happy birthday, Ellen.
Who is she?
No.
Pardon?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Jean, you had a question on headshots? Yes. My niece Anne is here in the office right now. She will be here taking just a lunch break, I think around 12:30, and then back at 1:30, something like that. And then she'll be here this afternoon. So super deal. Most of them are like $150 if you went and had them done. She's charged only because you're in my office, mind you. You get this special deal, $50. And she's a natural light photographer, and she's brilliant. So if you want an updated picture, if you just want a new picture, drop on in and show me your picture. Okay. Any other questions? Let me look here. Headshot, yes. No sound, no video. Okay, we already covered all that. Okay. Then we're going to take just a few minutes, 5 minutes, get some water, and let's line up. So we are going to come out to 111 here and head on down to Washington, turn right. Laguna de la Paz is at 48 and Eisenhower, or Washington. You just turn right on Eisenhower right there, and the entrance is just right there. So if you get lost, that's where it is. So I look forward to seeing everybody in Caravan, and then back on for lunch and fun.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Everybody.
Thank
Won't
you,
see
Ellen.
you
Have
next
an
week.
awesome
Happy
day.
Thanksgiving.